Sure. Please bow your head. Gracious Father in heaven, we thank you for bringing us all here today, and thank you for the health that we enjoy and the many things in life that we do enjoy. Lord, grant us the wisdom today to see and to have the insight to make good decisions today. Lord, we thank you, and in your Son's name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. I did pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Texas flag. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas,
one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Okay. Any comments from the public? Anybody signed up? No? Any considered act on adjustments? Any adjustments? No adjustments? Okay. Let's look at the consent agenda. We have 9 items. So 5 through 9. Anybody wanting to pull any of those items out and discuss them?
2 meeting minutes.
Oh, no. Well, we have meeting minutes.
Yeah,
Anybody have any?
I had a small edit. It's in the section where we had a discussion around the feedback from HDR's all hands
Is that the
meeting.
18th or the 9th? Just 2 minutes.
The one from June.
June 8th or 2.
So now I have to see. It would be this one.
This one, okay.
Yeah, the 18th. So so from the minutes, it's item
Okay.
13, page 3, and the item is 13. I just wanted to reflect that part of the discussion included that HCR had not provided the risk calculation, and I had requested the risk calculation. That was part of the discussion. It wasn't captured.
Okay, can we add that statement that page? Yeah.
Okay.
Is that it, Joseph?
Yep.
I have on 14, I know the item was deferred last month. I would like to go into executive session to discuss the letter of engagement that Schwartz, Page and Harding sent, or the opportunity to provide us with a letter of engagement from John Kelly, Gosling, Lloyd Gosling. Have some comments there, and I also want to poll the board on a question concerning how we voted for the policy and what our position is.
Okay, so that's on the agenda already. It doesn't mention.
That we have enough time to be able to go into a closed session on
Okay.
that.
That's item 19, I think. Okay, so any more comments about the consent agenda?
I have one thing on the consent agenda is the MCAD election that you have in your packet.
Yeah.
In 24, we had the election and Arthur Breedehall and Louis Pedraza at the end of the election. Louis Pedraza got the 3-year term and Arthur got the 1-year term. Okay. Then we told you there was going to be another election coming up, which we just had. Okay. We just started. Okay. The election has to be called by June the 1st. They found out later on in June, if you remember Arthur letting you know that there was a problem with the original election back in 2024. Okay. Well, come to find out that ESDs in the hospital district are not part of the MCAT election, Reclamation Conservation District election. So they went back to recalculate the 24 election. Arthur got the 1-year term and Louis Pedraza got the 3-year term to move forward. Okay. So now, because the June 1st deadline, an ESD called the election for this one on before June the 1st. Well, they're not supposed to be, because they're not involved in the reclamation conservation districts. So now we are out of the election for this year. The next one will pick up in 2027. They're fixing everything. The lesson learned for us and them is that they're going through. I do have MCAT here, Sherry Hunter, the chief appraiser, Joe Longoria, their district attorney, and then Steve Gracie is their in-house attorney. Okay. So there will be no special election for this year. We'll pick up again in 2027. I did have them here to come in case you all had any questions in regards to the
I have
election.
comments, but I'm not gonna give them, but yes, thank you.
Okay.
I was at your board meeting when you discussed this. I'm familiar with it. I'm just really, shocked that we find ourselves down this path for the second time. But we also had problems, last year, and we're also on our third chief appraiser in 3 years. And so, so there really needs to be, some review by the board about these issues, and they shouldn't be happening. And I was kind of really surprised that I heard all the detail, but that we're having these problems. And I'll be honest with you, I don't think unless the 7 ladies had won at Conroe ISD and were able to participate heavily in the election, I don't think we ever heard about this. You know what I mean? So I'm right for the community decided within Conroe ISD to elect a new board so that we could see what's going on. Otherwise, we wouldn't. And we have Louise and we have Charles Shirley on the board now. And hopefully they'll, gain the experience necessary to make this a better board.
You said it much more eloquently than I would have. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so consent agenda. Get it in.
Make a
Motion to
that
pass
we
the consent
approve the
agenda.
consent agenda.
Got a second?
Second,
All those in favor, say yes.
yeah,
Okay, that's done. Okay, so we see the regular monthly SRA Woodlands Division report.
Well, good afternoon. Our report begins on page 26 in your packet. Don't have anything to add. There was no violations, nothing really out of the ordinary. Everything's progressing normally. But if you have any questions on anything, I can cover those for you. I did want to point out something I just remembered as well. Some of the MUDs have asked for the GRP bonds to be given to them. In other words, they wanted to see the original amount, the remaining amount of principal, and then when the pay update is. So starting next month, we're going to be showing those on the GRP financials, which is on page 40 and 41 of your packet. Next month, all the GRP bonds, where they sit, where they're going to be paid, when they're going to be paid off, will be in your packet every month going forward. Besides that, if you have any questions, we have an answer.
I know you could probably just say yes or no. Any progress with resolving the issues with Conroe and their associated discussion about Conroe taking more?
So instead of yes or no, I'll say maybe. How about that?
Maybe, okay.
Nothing that can be made public.
And I noticed in your packet, like on page, maybe another part, 57, 58, 59, is that a summary of bond payments? What is that? That's something I haven't seen before. And it's,
So 58 and 59 are related to the capacity bonds that you're aware of.
yes, it is. Okay.
They are. 57 is future facilities. Future facilities is an account that was set up some time ago, and it also relates to capacity, but this account, future facilities, during the sixth and final accounting, any monies that were received by the authority, by MUDs to buy capacity, this is where all the money went into. That way it can be separately tracked. So.
And this is the money that is related to MUD 39.
So it has increased because we now put MUD 39's money when they bought capacity twice, that funds did go in.
Not going there.
Now, the reason this account is still open is because there's still one project in the sixth and final accounting that has not been completed. That one project is the expansion of aeration basins 1 and 2. There's about $2 million allocated in here to fund that expansion. So if the MUDs decide to build a new wastewater plant instead of expanding plants 1 and 2, those funds remain in here. I'll tell you where they go here in a minute. If the MUDs decide to go forward with repair and replacement of plant 1 and aeration basins 1 and 2 are expanded or rebuilt, $2 million is already in this account to help fund that. Now, at the end of the day, once all projects are done, this account's closed. All the money from here transfers over to the R&R. Long story, but that's where the money.
One question on the expanded district of 39. Has there been an assessment and a land value usage as one would require for an impact fee? Has that been done yet?
That's more on the MUD side if anything was done. But
What's the question again?
The question was that with the expansion of MUD 39, with that new property, there's going to be new requirements that Chris talked about, not just on the wastewater treatment and other areas, but the full infrastructure that could affect other MUDs. Normally with under Chapter 395, you have to go through a land use analysis. And I'm just wondering if that's been done yet, or is it planned to be done?
So I think you're talking about impact fees.
Yeah, is it-
So no, because this arrangement has, like for any other previous annexation, for any of the other districts, including MUD 46, that MUD has to purchase capacity for any additional development in that district. And then it's also responsible for a pro rata share of repair and maintenance of the existing infrastructure.
As
based
well
on
as the new,
usage. Well,
they're
new-
new requirements.
Well, new capacity. So I guess let's break this into 3 pieces. For capacity that is, we talked about being, flex capacity. So capacity in the system that's not utilized and available for use. That capacity is purchased on a first come, first served basis on supplemental agreements. So MUD 39, MUD 46, any other MUD can purchase that capacity to the extent that it's determined to be available by the river board.
And this is through the Woodlands Division. Okay,
Correct. And those funds go into the R&R account. That's all set
Right.
out in the supplemental agreements for all the districts. So that's one piece. To the extent there is additional new capacity, let's say a district, whichever district it is, needs 500 connections, and let's say there's 300 that's available of, flex capacity.
Right.
And there's 200 connections that are needed that are not available in the existing system. What the supplemental agreements provide is that after the 6 and final county, talked about before, that district has to pay 100% of the cost to construct the infrastructure
that
necessary.
particular MUD or annexed part has to pay 100%.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. For the additional 200 connections. Now, the infrastructure necessary to create that 200 connections may actually create 300 connections. Well, that's that district's problem, because they have to pay for the infrastructure necessary to create those 200
And
connections.
their inventory would then be increased for the variance, the 100 variance between the 2 and 300, in the example you gave.
Right, they would have to
Sure,
purchase the
okay.
additional capacity
Good.
that would, create that, pay for the construction of the capacity, and they would be allocated the number of connections associated with that constructed infrastructure. Third piece is, whatever, responsibility the district has as to existing infrastructure, that's already, in the system. Responsible, like all the other MUDs are, for their pro rata share based on water and sewer usage. So that doesn't change.
Do we, and this is more for Chris, do we have a number of SFDUEs available at this time right now? And how much has been already purchased? Do we know what those numbers are?
I don't know them off the top of my head, but it's essentially you're buying capacity inside of the wastewater plants.
Okay,
And then you're also buying capacity in the water plants itself.
Right.
And so it's just doing the math to get those numbers, seeing what's sold and what's left, and of course, leaving a buffer at that point. Wastewater plants were sold, have typically been sold to 75% capacity.
okay.
Since the TCQ has a 75%.
So theoretically, the 25%
Theoretically,
variance or delta for that, right?
between what's sold and what's still available, or, max capacity, but that is also including buffer and everything else.
Right, understood. Is that something that you could have sent to the board members here?
I can work it up and pass it through our engineers on our side to make sure it's good and
That would be good,
not
yeah.
immediately, but over time.
That way we will know what the available capacity is, not just for 46, but for the other 9 MUDs, correct? It'll
Correct.
be useful for everybody.
No, it'd be good across the board. The little caveat being, to going back to what Brian was saying is you may have capacity in the plant, but the additional load that you're putting on the system may require the MUD to enlarge the line. I don't have those numbers.
And you shouldn't. And that would, I think, be an impact fee by definition.
Wholesale lines or their retail lines?
Even if it's the base infrastructure that serves all 10 MUDs, is that true? They pay 100%?
Of the excess that would be needed, like if a line needed to be upsized, the new developer would have to pay that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, that's the scenario where you say, we need 200 more connections. In order to get you that 200 connection, there's some bottleneck, or you need another line, or you need some.
Expand the line, whatever the case might be.
Plan, or what have you, they've got to pay, that district has to pay 100% of the cost.
Okay.
Of that expansion.
thank you.
And I believe in that case, the developers actually put up the money for the capacity for 39.
They did.
Yeah, they did buy capacity.
I don't know if it's all of it, but they've certainly bought, so.
Thank you.
We'll get that information, should be within a couple months max, just as long as.
Okay, no, I'm just making note of it here, and I'll follow up next month. Yeah,
And as soon as I get it, I'll pass it off to Eric.
perfect. Great, thank you.
Anything else for the division report? Okay, let's do the next one. Consider an act on the draft 2026 Woodlands Division budget.
Good afternoon or almost evening. So as you'll know, at the trustees meeting, I presented 2 budget changes that we had since our June presentation. So I'm gonna run through the highlights real quick, and then I'll ask for y'all's vote today to direct your trustee to vote at the August trustees meeting, to approve our budget. So the first change that we had is the GRP fee. So the surface water conversion fee, as y'all see it on your bills, went down a penny from the June presentation and 5 cents from current rate. So it's going down to $2.92. And then the second change was on our project plan. We presented the project plans in April. And since we presented those plans, TWDB approved a budget amendment that we had to move one of our projects into our 2017 existing bond funds. And so since that was approved, we now, you'll see that change in the budget to move that project to 2017 bond funds.
And, so there's some outstanding issues, Conroe, at Mid-South. They're not in this budget, right? They're gonna,
No,
there'll be a
so
That's
supplemental.
DRP.
Yeah, the GRP, you're right, that's right.
That's not related to Woodlands Division.
Yeah.
the only way it does affect it, Maureen, if you could back up one slide. Yeah. Mid-South does come into play because the 292 that you see here and this additional 1 cent reduction from what we presented is only if the GRP review committee approves the Mid-South contract and our board approves it both next week. If that does occur, that's the rate you see. If for some reason they do not approve Mid-South's contract, it'll go back to what we presented the last 293 and then whatever the number worked out.
And if Conroe solves the issues, the GRP number could go up, could go down, depending upon, won't go up probably.
Won't go up, but
It'll go-
potentially
go
go down. Cash on hand, defeasance of bonds, returns, refunds, whatever you want to call it, same as every year. Optimization of the facility, increased in a lot of different options.
Any other questions on the budget? I will leave y'all to vote. Thank
Are you seeking approval?
I move,
Yeah.
yeah, I move
Not
to-
approval, but to direct your trustee to approve it in August.
GRP, okay.
As I mentioned to Ed earlier, before the meeting started, I thought this presentation was well done and you're doing a great job. So thank you all. Appreciate that.
So I move for the board to authorize our trustee to approve the presented budget.
I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Discuss and act on water line renewal plan and analysis completed by HDR.
Yes, that's on the agendas this month for the months. To give you an update, several directors, including Joseph in this case, submitted comments to HDR.
They have since given a response on Friday, so that got sent out to all the MUDs. So we'll let those folks that put the comments in review that. And then we'll be following up with which we committed to doing before, was to set up a Teams call in the next few weeks to give those directors opportunity to talk with HDR on a call. We're looking at the week of August 4th for that. So
How would that call be? Would that be you come here, or it's an audio call, video call? How is
it
that?
would be a Teams call, so it would be audio and video. I guess we hadn't really looked at whether or not we're huddling up in a room somewhere, or you can do it from your computer.
Yeah.
Through the invite, you'd have a link to click on, and then you could access it from wherever you are. I guess there was originally 5 directors that had made comments, so we're certainly going to open it up to those 5.
I didn't make a comment, but I'm gonna be there.
Yeah, so just, that's one of the things I've been reminding folks is we need to keep it to no more than 2. I'm not looking to do an all MUDs for that. There's been an interest in a couple MUDs, just like yourself, to say, oh, I don't mind joining. So I'm happy to, as long as we have no more than 2, that's fine. And then we do plan to record it so that we'll at least be able to provide that afterwards.
Any, Joseph, you have any
I-
comments?
Yeah, just as a telegraph, my intention is to get some clarity on the lack of the computation of the risk itself on the basis that their condition assessment and rehabilitation guide. The response that I read was referring to a rapid conditions assessment, but the section in the document that I had quoted was a generic section. So I was seeking clarity around that in that forum.
I mean, I've been digging through the 1,000 pages and the Excel tables, and it's quite a chore. And I think the issue I have is that I've been unable to replicate the calculation. And what I mean by that is that I concentrated on the Westlake project. You mean, and an element of that, right, is breakage. So when I go through the document and I try to locate the breakage points, I'm having a very difficult time, locating them within the footprint of the project. And, I'm unfortunately that you guys put the data in 3 different locations. And as you go, you get that location, that location, that location. But, in order to locate, you have the street, right? You have a map in there too. And at times you have lat long, and at times you have asset tags. And I've struggled to get those to agree and to find, you say there's 8 or 9 locations, depending upon what section. I'm struggling to get those 8 or 9 locations within the project plan. And I also been, somewhat puzzled that we collected the data for, we did the samples in roughly a dozen places and another 20 or 30 locations through plugs. And I'm kind of struggling to understand how that was used in the calculation. The
lab testing.
Yeah, you got plug data, you got the I forget the titles, the brittleness, the cracks, the BER, EDR. And I struggle with the formula because I see a formula, but I don't see how it's used in the calculation.
It'd be a great question if you can get that to Eric so HDR can explain it, because
Yeah.
we didn't develop the report, we didn't do the layout and everything else.
Understand.
We don't even actually have the Excel tables for it, so.
Yeah. I mean, that's
Send me the comment and I'll get that.
I will.
For the call.
I've been trying to pull it into it's scattered off 1,000 pages, so I've been pulling it into a PowerPoint and trying to understand it. Whereas Joseph is focusing on the risk, calculation. I'm just down there in the mud trying to, collect the data and move it forward to get to that point. And I'm struggling to understand that. And I'm a little smarter each day. but I'm still kind of struggling looking to how you make the calculation. And so that was it. And we got to the first week of August, and I'm hoping to have that data, have my thoughts cleared up on a something I could put up on the screen. But that's where I'm at right now. Any other comments? There's been some discussion at the trustee meeting where I guess there's two facets to this. And some of the MUDs have took votes and all. So there was a discussion presented by SJRA to authorize the purchase of right-of-way, for the town center project. That's the project where they designed it. They've been moving forward. The calculation says it's at risk, although I think we have some questions about that. And there's one movement to approve the purchase of right-of-way. And
Not quite, no.
not quite,
No.
please correct me then.
Yeah, so to reallocate funds that were originally identified for easement acquisition, to reallocate those funds to do the redesign of the project. The project is about 95 or more % completed. But there was indication or new information that indicated that there could be an expansion of Grover's Mill, which covers up a portion of that project. To where a third lane, of 6 lanes, so the third lane northbound, where the line is, that line would end up being under the pavement of that third lane. So the motion would be to reallocate the funds originally identified for the easement acquisition for the previous scope to redesign the alignment to get it out of the drive lane of that particular.
So it's not to purchase right-of-way, it's to redesign the project to do that.
To move forward the redesign. Now, my understanding is once that is redesigned, the new alignment will give insight into what eventual easements will be needed to acquire. And so I think they could talk a little bit more about the details of that, but it wouldn't be specifically to, I think, buy all the easements.
By the land, and how much money is in the account that we reallocated? How many million?
2 million, 3.
It's about 1.3 million that's left. It's in your packet. I'll tell you the page shortly.
But the total was at 2 million, correct? 1.5. Okay.
1.5.
The two projects we're looking to combine would be on page 33. Town Center water line easements, the original budget, 1.5 million. Roughly 200,000 spent, so about 1.3 million. We would combine that with the project on page 30 at the bottom left, which is a Town Center water line renewal. Put those two together.
So that's town center, water line, the other one on 33,
Was on 33 at the top right, we're top.
top one, town center, water line. I'll say one thing, this expansion of Grover's Mill to 3 lanes each way has been a very hot topic within the community. And there's a lot of opposition to it. And I've not heard Commissioner Wheeler say this, but I've heard people have went to him and he has said he would never do that. So, to put a third lane down, you basically use speeding traffic through the center of the Woodlands. So, I know you guys have, I don't know if you talked to Commissioner Wheeler directly. In person, and he expressed what?
It was not on his 10-year list.
Yeah, so.
But because that water line has a potential service life of 50 to 60, 75 years.
Yeah.
We don't want to have to move it twice.
Yeah.
So we want to get it out of the way. And where it's not in jeopardy of being under the pavement.
Yeah. I'm glad you talked to Commissioner Wheeler. He's repeating what he's told,
And as
a number of citizens.
as I told one of the directors last meeting, we've got a couple of water lines under pavement because we weren't given any notification that a widening was occurring. And I'm not talking 10 or 15 feet. I'm talking a mile worth of a well supply line. It's a 16-inch under the outside lane of the eastbound of Woodland Parkway. So
Yeah, in those cases, just in general, if we have public utilities in a road right of way, the owner of that right of way can come back and say, move it.
As the state did on 242.
Yep. It happens all the time.
Happened all the time, yeah.
So it's a risk that you run.
So how would you pose that motion to, why don't you pose a motion that we get you what you want at the moment?
I think you've had a pretty good understanding. of
One,
the
two.
3 or 4.
I could, it would be make motion to, authorize your trustee to vote, in favor of reallocating the funds from the easement acquisition into the redesign and including identifying the new route and completing the design. And taking the design off hold. Is that accurate?
Design off hold, combine the two projects, reallocate funds.
Yeah.
And then authorize going forward
Otherwise, going forward for the redesign.
for redesign.
Not, yeah, not
The
the
construction.
construction. That's a bigger discussion.
Any questions on that?
Just point of,
You want to go
point
first?
of clarification, yeah, really quickly. It's the redesign to move the line.
Correct.
Yeah, okay.
And just further, it's not the entire line. The entire line's about 3 miles. We're only looking for like maybe half a mile worth of redesign.
Okay.
Clarifies.
Thank you.
And the source of the funds is R&R, which was prorated for all of the months?
Correct.
Okay.
And just a little bit, the way you got into R&R is the town center water line easements was excess funds. That was approved by the trustees to go into R&R for that project.
That's the money that was taken a couple of years ago, right?
That was
prior.
That was provided back to us a couple of years ago.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that's the one I went ballistic on, right? I got it, yeah, all right. Fine, thank you.
Okay, so Eric has provided a nicely worded motion.
Could you be more specific so that we can make this motion?
Okay,
Okay, combine which project? The water line easement?
I'll use the exact terms on the pages. So to take the budget or the funds that are currently allocated for town center water line easements, which are identified on page 33, and combining that with the town center water line renewal project on page 30, for the purpose of redesign and re-identification of the new easements that are required, that will be required in the project.
And then the purchase of any easements that are
Yeah.
being able to be funded.
You want to try to make that motion?
Yes. I move to combine a budget item from page 33, Town Center Water Line easements and budget line Town Center Water Line renewal on page 30 of the packet to approve, to have the trustee approve or vote in favor of the redesign that moves the line and the re-identification of any easements and purchases of easements in
We're
order
not,
to.
we're not buying easement, are we?
You will need to buy some.
Okay, we're gonna buy the easement with the redesign. Okay.
Correct, as much as we could.
Before we go to vote, one question. In the event that the funds allocated are not sufficient to complete the tasks, what's the requirement for the other monies? Are we gonna have to pony up additional money or not?
We'll come back before then and we'll identify what needs to be done. So it's either R&R existing funds, could be that future facilities we talked about, could be pulling from land acquisition at wastewater plant 1.
Well, I just don't want to set a foundation to have another grab for excess funds this coming year. And you understand where I'm coming from on that, right?
Entirely get that.
Okay,
I mean, that is still an option.
I know it is.
So I
I don't
mean,
like that option, but that's another story.
by the time we get to the point to know which easements we need, it's going to be well past next year's excess funds.
Okay.
If any.
Fine, I'm good.
And- And my assumption is that it's constrained by these two line items.
Well, that's why I asked the question.
Just the budget.
Yeah, because by definition, my motion is to merge these two line items, so.
Correct.
Yeah, okay.
And if it's excess, we will hear before we go forward, correct?
Correct. If we need more money, we have to come back.
It would be in accordance to the normal.
I will second your motion.
Okay.
Thank you.
All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Yes, we finished with 12. Okay, receive update status on Bear Branch, Panther Creek Branch, Research Forest Drive drainage improvements.
Right, the engineers are finalizing the revised summary as indicated by the stakeholders. Once that's complete, we'll start putting together meetings with area legislators and agencies to see if we can get some more funding. Yep. We're done.
What's update on the dam? The Bear Branch Dam.
I'll cover that here.
Okay, receive attorney's report.
So not much to report that is open session at this point. So the only thing I have in the general attorney's report is that you should have received a copy of the legislative summary from the session, the regular session that just ended on the Google Drive. If you all have questions on that, feel free to let me know and I'll be happy to visit with you about it. Also, you may have heard that the governor has called a special session.
Monday.
Yep, starts on Monday. It's a pretty extensive agenda. There's 18 items on it. There's only 30 days, so it'll be interesting to see how many of those get addressed. And there could be any number of bills introduced on those 18. So, you know, like I said, you know, there could be 200-300 bills introduced on 18 items. Who knows?
Yeah.
So the governor's not limited in how many special sessions he can call. So if enough progress isn't made,
Except they have to run for reelection.
yeah. But there could be more. So, and I would anticipate there probably will be more than one based on how extensive the agenda was.
Thanks.
That's all I have.
Thank you.
Okay, so the item 15, director of contact information.
Yes, you had requested that. I had some concerns. I've gone through, done some research, identified through our cybersecurity consultant as well as our web designer that we can in fact make contacting you available on the website without specifically putting your email, where they could go onto your website, find your name in a drop down and click on your name or whoever they want to send it to, put in your email or the question or whatever their inquiry is, hit send, and it would go to the email address that you have listed with us that we use now, or whatever email you want. And that way, it wouldn't be specifically listed, but they can still get to you. So we confirm we can do that if you so choose.
Yeah.
So is
Thank
that
you.
something you want to do?
Hey, discuss it and or act on the general manager.
You asked the question.
Oh, you asked a question? What's the question?
Yeah.
Do you want us to?
Oh, what want us to do it? Oh, okay. I thought you were telling us what you were working on.
I don't. see
Well, no,
any
the request was whether we could.
Could do it, okay.
That's what I was expecting.
I don't see any problem.
I don't need it. I would encourage it.
Yeah, more accessible.
Do we need a motion?
So I make a motion to approve the plan that you just put in place.
Have a second?
No.
Anybody second? Yep. All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Sorry, I can't second my own.
Okay,
Yeah, but-
number 16. General manager report.
All right.
Here we go.
Couple things. I just want to give you a few updates. We have completed some of our final, hopefully, building improvements, updating the fire alarm system as well as intrusion alarm system. And I'm happy to report also the access control where both front doors now work. They have not both opened in a long time, but now they both work. So, and they're under code, so that's good. We also are making some final completion to the display case up front, where we will add in some descriptions of each of the apparatus that you see there, so that the community can come in and learn about those various pieces of equipment, and we can kind of show them and explain as needed. A lot of times people come in asking, and what is this, and what am I looking for here? And our intention was to put as many of those things that we deal with on a day-to-day basis to explain what they are and why they work and what they're for.
Mhm.
So we'll finish that up. Wanted to give you some insight on some internal things that we've been doing over the last 6 months. We've just over the last 6 months, we've built a career pathing program for our employees, which included redoing all the job descriptions, building a performance review program, and I'm happy to report that we've completed it and as well as have done implementation. So we've done employee self-reviews, manager reviews, and one-on-ones with the employees. So all that's complete. So I have to report that it's been a long, probably over a 6 month, 7 month process, but it is complete and in operation. We do continue to run the ditches to finalize gaining all the asset information on the ditches, and also while we're doing that, complete the condition analysis of the ditches as well. So we're probably 85% done now, all the ditches across the woodlands. The information from that will lead to us building a capital improvement or a project plan on the WWA or MUD side. So you get to see projects that, may be needed on that side of things. And then ultimately that will go into, in some form or fashion, the budget, the MUD budgets, depending on what improvements are necessary or needed as the condition assessment. So, and the budget process is that the draft budget will bring to you next month for the MUD. And then that will look for approval in September to get us going for the October 1 fiscal start. But that's the
And
schedule.
the 1.5 million has filtered into the budget, the we fund from the
Yes.
Sonoma division. That's what we're
I
doing.
think that went in last month, I believe.
Last month.
Yep, so that's in. Did want to make you aware of Lone Star is hosting a couple meetings in September. One is they're hosting the next GMA 14 meeting at Lone Star on September 17th. And so if you want to attend that, you're welcome to. And then also the next day on September 18th, they're hosting what they're calling a MUD informational meeting. There is information in your packet on that. It's 9 a.m. On September 18th. The intention, as I understand it, is to go over information related to the aquifer modeling and the desired future conditions that will, eventually be associated with the GMA 14 models. So those are 2 dates there.
You said the 17th and 18th?
Yes, the GMA 14 on the 17th, and then the MUD informational on the 18th.
Will that conflict with this MUD meeting?
The 17th, Mike. No, your meet? No. I think it's earlier in the day.
Okay.
I think it's earlier in the day. It may conflict with another meeting.
Yeah.
But probably not yours.
Okay.
Yeah. Good question.
The 18th meeting's at 9 a.m.
Correct.
I didn't load the other meeting yet.
Related to the dam, there is a stakeholder dam meeting on Monday, this coming Monday, across the street at the community center. The 5 stakeholder MUDs will be, which you're one of, will be involved in that. It's kind of doing it like the all MUDs, but there's 5, not all, that are associated with as a stakeholder, and we'll hear from the engineering firm that made the recommendations, and then and you'll meet as hear that as a group.
How will that last? Hour, 2 hours? Who knows?
I don't know. I mean, it's not intended to be an all-nighter for sure. Obviously, some will rely on the questions that we get. I think so. You have a copy of as of today, we sent out a link to their PowerPoint, their evaluation, some other documents that you'll want to see leading up to, and so you can probably make some guesses on that as far as slide deck. And then, and associated with the dam project, we got some new news a couple hours ago that SJ would like to share.
Remember a couple months ago that the 5 MUDs authorized Eric to provide a letter of support for an additional $5 million towards the project. We got word today that Congressman Crenshaw's submittal of that into the House Environment and Water Bill that project was included at the requested $5 million. Basic process is Congress will consider that'll be part of the budget. They'll consider that towards the end of the year, and if approved, should have money March, April next year, subject to the MUDs being okay with adding that next phase to the project, which will be discussed Monday night.
What's the total cost of the project?
What we're seeing right now and what you'll see in the documents that have been shared, it's around 14 million. And so there's roughly 8.6 federal funds, and the rest would be local match.
I started to read through it all. There's a lot.
That's at the very end, the very
Yeah.
last slide.
The print technically.
Other thing I had was to kick it to John for communication.
Good afternoon.
You know,
Page 77 for your communications report. Community Working Group, part of the Infrastructure Renewal Communications Campaign, met on July 1st for their 5th meeting. They got a presentation from Barolo there on the reclamation facility number 1 condition assessment. It was very well attended. Suzanne was there and well received, I think. Good information for the group. There is a 6th session that will occur. It's not on the calendar yet. We're thinking perhaps sometime in September. We'll see. And they may hear about the waterline condition assessment at that one to be determined. That's that group continues to gain momentum. And there is a nice piece that Community Impact did on that community working group. They published in their June 18 digital edition. If you missed it, you can scan it, read it on your phone, or there's a printout in the back of your packet as well. Page 79, a couple things on social media. Reminder to check out our social media. Even if you're not a regular user, get on there periodically, see what we're posting. And while you're on there, please take a second to give us a thumbs up, like it, like the post, a thumb or a heart under each of the posts, click that. Sharing is even better. And what that does is it really helps us grow our reach. So easy way to help us get the message out. You'll remember that we hired a social media specialist, Stephanie Williams, 6 weeks ago. So she's been working with us part-time since. Very encouraging as far as outcomes thus far. You can see some statistics there at the bottom of 79. Comparing her 6-week period versus the previous 6-week period before she started. She's increased views on Facebook 150% and on Instagram 900% or 800%. So very encouraging. She's doing a lot too with our look and feel, kind of polishing that up, making it more digestible. We've got a lot more reels now in our feeds, which are short videos, just keeping up with the times and how people like to consume information on social media, a lot more visual. And so, yeah, really encouraging. That's what I got.
Good. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Before we leave the general manager report, I have a couple of questions for you. Eric, do you want to discuss the conversation that we had, I don't know if it was last week or earlier this week, I don't remember, on FSDOE charge exemptions and also our discussion on the old and new firehouse? Do you want to wait until we get to 19 to do that?
Probably 19.
Okay, pull it off till then.
okay, so discuss and or act. On
No.
oh, no,
Your report.
my trustee report. I think we've covered basically what we discussed in the trustee. Do you think of anything else? It's all been touched on. Yeah. Discuss and act on the Maverick County Housing Finance Corporation acquisition of Evergreen at Sterling Ridge and Grove at Sterling Ridge properties in the district.
So we're going to defer 18 and 19 until after session.
Okay. Okay. So anything else? No, then let's adjourn to, have a motion to, adjourn to closed session.
Motion to adjourn to closed session.
Second.
Second.
Aye. Aye. Okay.